Hi everybody, I'm Chris from Markel, and I'm going to go and explain a little bit about our company, our grad scheme, and what I find in my day-to-day interactions with employees. Markel started out in America in the 1930s by Sam Markel, who was our founder. Our first insurance product was insuring little shanty buses, which had popped up in and around the country, and these were pretty rickety affairs. Everybody's pretty dubious, and Sam managed to carve out a niche in insuring these vehicles, which nobody else would, and also implemented safety checks that drove down the insurance prices for vehicles that passed and kind of inadvertently improved the safety of the buses, which is kind of a philosophy that we've taken forward to all the products that we do now. We then, later on, Sam's 4 sons joined the company, relocated to Richmond, Virginia, and that's our global headquarters. Our second headquarters, in effect, for the international market is based in London, and that was through an acquisition that we made in 2000 of Terra Nova. We've been making more acquisitions as of late, which has grown the company to, as we'll see in this slide, a quick snapshot of the slide's slightly out of date. We now are a Fortune 500 company. We carry on growing. We operate in 62 offices around the world, predominantly North America, USA and Canada, Western Europe and South America. Markel's grad scheme is brand new. We've previously been involved in the Lloyd's scheme, and this year we'll see the first running of our very own scheme. I graduated in 2009. Like a lot of people, you'll find out insurance. I won't be the first, and I'm definitely not the last. As an 8-year-old, I dreamt of being a football player, a chef, management consultant, the list goes on. Insurance never really appeared on my radar until I finished university. The University of Nottingham I went to. I read management there. And got home to Brighton. I kind of sat down with my dad, my mum, kind of really going through, what do I want in a job? Looked at some marketing courses, and then I found online that an insurer based near Brighton was starting out their own grad scheme, and I went through all the checklist of skills needed, thought, yeah, I've got some of those, and what are the requirements of the job, what do you do? And I was like, you know what, I'm going to go to the interview for that. I was there for 18 months in my graduate scheme, based for a little insurer called Zenith, who were on the south coast, and I really loved it. But they were a general insurer, and I wanted to specialise in insurance. You've just got to look around. You can insure absolutely everything. So depending on what you like, what you're used to, you find a home somewhere. So I found that home in professional indemnity insurance. In a nutshell, we insure large corporates for negligence claims. So that led to my role change in 2011 when I became an insurance broker. So I represented different clients around the country, mainly UK. You get some brokers that deal with international clients. My role was very UK-based, but up and down the country, I would go out and see clients, talk to them about their risk, where they can mitigate it, and then I would take that information to the insurance market, Lloyd's of London or other insurers in and around London, and I would go and broker the risk to them. I would then take my findings back to the client, and hopefully they would buy an insurance policy with us. I was at Towergate Insurance as a broker for 4 years. I then moved to Markel last Easter, so I've been there just over a year now as an underwriter. So in my dealings with underwriters, after a few years, I established that I quite liked their job. So I wanted to take it off them, in effect. So I joined last year, and later on I will go on to describe what an average day for an underwriter in Markel is. So, typical day or week. So I walk in the morning, normally aim to get in for about 8:30, so it's not ridiculously early, but it's before 9 o'clock, so I can get some work done before the day really starts. So I'll go have a nice cup of tea, and then I'll open up with my emails. I start the day off really with checking any overnight advancements. So this will either be specific to risks, our clients that might have happened overnight, and also general wider industry news. I will then get on to the bulk of my day, which is, as an underwriter, I will review business submissions. So brokers will come to me either in person or they'll send it to me electronically, and it will be a snapshot of that company, which is normally in the form of a PDF document. And that document will go into detail about what that client does. There might be a technology company, and it will break down pretty much like a business plan will, where their risks are, where the exposure is, what they do day to day, and what they're looking to get insured for. I then take the models that our actuaries at Markel formulate to come up with a price. I will then tailor that price depending on where I see that client fitting our ideal model, because no client will ever fit 100% a model that an actuary's come up with. So you need to tailor it quite a lot. It's kind of a mix between an art and a science, really, underwriting, and I quite enjoy it that way. And then also, typical events that will happen in a day will be either face-to-face meetings with brokers to establish where they're looking to grow. So it'll be really business development meetings, and then they also may potentially show me some submissions that they've got, and we'll discuss it in person on the spot. I'll also have face-to-face meetings with colleagues. These can be training requirements, updates in the insurance environment, how we're managing as a team. I've always worked in relatively small teams at all three employers that I've had. That suits me quite well because it means you get chucked in at the deep end. I've never been on like a 30-strong team where you're pigeonholed into doing one little task 100 times a day. It's all very varied. What I enjoy about my job, I've never actually been on a boat, but what this is conveying is that every day is different, and that's what I enjoy. It's so much easier to get out of bed in the morning when you know you're not going into X, Y, Z, and you just got to sit there and plug out the numbers. So if I was to say three things that I enjoyed, it would be that it's varied. No 2 days are the same. It's challenging. Insurance is a really quite competitive market, so you've constantly got to stay ahead of your rivals. With insurance, so maybe compared to some other financial services, we work day to day with our rival insurance companies. As has already been mentioned, quite often a customer will come for an insurance product, and that product might be provided by 6 or 10 different insurers. So you have to work together to get the placement done, which drives quite a lot of mutual respect between different insurance companies, which is, as I say, different to some financial services, which will kill off competition at all cost. And then the third item that I really enjoy is that you can see your impact that you make. You see the differences that you make by winning a piece of business, implementing a certain project, and you can see that in the quarterly results for your team, the monthly results, and then you see, I think Markel are a really good company about highlighting, being really transparent with all the numbers across all the different regions. So we sit down once a quarter with our CEO, and he just breaks it all down, how every region, how every team's doing, and how you all contribute to the success that Markel's had in the last 25 years. So the skills needed to be successful and get into insurance, and then also at the same time progressing as an individual. If I was to highlight one out of the three that is the most important, and I think there's a good chance that it might be on everybody's slides that you're here speaking today, is personable. I've met a few individuals that were technically great, they were great in other aspects, but if you're not personable in insurance, you won't potentially get through the door, and if you do get through the door, you might not succeed. It's cliche, but people buy from people. That's whether it's an internal meeting where you're trying to get some engagement with colleagues, managers, and other staff, or where it's an external meeting and you're selling yourself to either, for me, an insurer buy-in or the end customer. If they don't get on with you, it doesn't matter how great your product is, they won't be buying a thing. The second is critical thinking. You're given a lot of autonomy, either as a graduate or as a non-graduate. The company will trust in you. They'll give you your role, and then you'll be expected to run with it. There will be some checks in place, but it's not possible to check everything that you do. So they need the trust within that member of staff that they're capable of doing it. And then once you've shown it, they really will put all that responsibility into your hands and expect you to run with it, which is a really good feeling. And then the third is adaptable. Businesses change constantly, and insurance is no different. It's potentially quicker. Events happen constantly around the world. New products constantly come to market. For example, when I joined in 2009, cyber was a buzzword that got banded around all the time. The insurers and the brokers knew they needed to do something about it, but they didn't really know how to implement it. Whereas now, it's one of the biggest growing sectors in the London market is the cyber market. So the underwriters that at the time were adaptable enough and flexible to switch into that market are now seeing the great growth. And that's the same for the insurers and the brokers that saw that the market was changing, have put the resources into it to grow it, and they're now reaping the rewards. Tips for getting into the sector. Experience is great if you have it beforehand as a graduate. It tells a lot if you can do it. It doesn't always have to be through a work placement. Insurers and brokers are aware that not everybody's going to be able to have done a summer placement, kind of the year before. They might not, have had the connections available to take that summer placement. But just the small things, insurance touches on everybody's day-to-day lives. So if you had a travel insurance claim last summer, hopefully it wasn't with the insurer that you're applying for the job for, and you did the claims process from start to finish. If you helped out your gran on a motor insurance policy, these are the small things that you can show that you've got an understanding of insurance, and it will highlight, kind of a bit more of a desire that it is a sector that you want to get into. Linked to experience is interest. Nobody as an 8-year-old, very few people as an 8-year-old dream of landing that job in insurance, with a bowler hat strolling around Lloyd's of London. However, when it comes around to making your selections of, what grad schemes to enter, an interest is key. If you don't have an interest, you won't have the desire to succeed in that chosen career. And then the third one is persistence. You might not get into a grad scheme first year round. Insurance is such a market that you can transfer between roles. I graduated in 2009, and I'm on my third role, which I now feel that I've found the right job for me, and I can hopefully see it through for quite a few years to come in advance. But, in 2009, if I was applying onto the Markel grad scheme, I might have got in, I might not have. But the persistence in wanting to drive forward from my original entry in 2009 to come into London to specialise and be an insurance broker, and then wanting to switch from insurance broking into underwriting, insurance companies and insurance brokers will repay the effort that you put in. So I'll now move on to the Markel University, the Markel grad scheme. We're starting a summer internship program. This is 8 weeks and it's paid, which is nice. They'll get on hands-on work experience. They're not just going to be making teas for the board members. Markel want to make sure this is as valuable as possible. They'll work on a short project from start to finish as an overriding aim for them to then deliver at the end of that project. And it's a great opportunity for these summer interns to show their worth to Markel. And it's a great, basically, 8-week interview for Markel to have with these individuals. So I would definitely recommend it. And the entry requirements is penultimate year of study at university and a minimum of a 2.2 degree expectation. That leads on to our graduate program. This is 18 months rotational with 3 placements. So give or take, it will be about 6 months in each rotation. Markel really value the CII course of study. I'm going through it myself, and I think it's really useful to read up and expand your knowledge, because when you're doing your day-to-day role, you can kind of get sucked up into just learning the really precise things that you have to do day in, day out. Whereas the CII forces by going through their course of study, it forces you to think a bit wider, which has great benefits. And we'll be offering a competitive salary and benefits to entice graduates in. The apprenticeship, it will be 12 to 15 months and will be run in a similar manner to the previous other schemes, but for younger individuals. And I think the questions will be answered in the Q&A session. So thank you very much, everybody.